when I was in elementary school, again, when I was in fifth grade, I think, I was going home from my friend's house. A random man started attacking me, actually, like physically, like headlocking me and
What?
stuff. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, that
Wow.
happened. And police came, and the
Mm,
policeman was like, I hate foreigners too, but you can't do that.
There are a lot of cases that where the father is gone. Therefore,
Okay.
your cultural connection
It's
towards
cut.
blackness is cut
Mm-hmm.
off. And in
Mm-hmm.
my case,
Mm.
that was not the case.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Melanated Files. My name is Ranzo, and today we're joined by Michael and Jay, right? They're both mixed Japanese living right here in Japan. We're going to hear their experiences right now. So stay tuned for that. So, Michael and Jay, I want you guys to introduce yourself to the world, let them know who you are.
My name is Rikai Azuma. People call me Jay, so you can go by that as well. I was born in Jamaica, and I lived there until about around 9 years old. Then my parents had to move to Japan, so that brought me here in Japan. And ever since, I've been living here in Japan. It's about it's going about 17 years because I also lived in some other countries for a couple years as well. So in Japan, yeah, about 17 years so far. I went to school here in Japan, elementary school, junior high school, and all that. It was an international school, so I had a lot of friends from different countries as well as Japanese who used to live in, like, for example, in the States or other country and came back to Japan. And so, yeah, my school years was really diverse and international in that way. My Japan experience, I would say the most, core or the like the core part was, I would say, the elementary school because I used to go to a local school, so that was a place where I kind of like learned all the Japanese, like whistles and bells and stuff, like how
Mhm.
Japanese would do certain things, how Japanese would say certain things. And other than that, I used to live in Canada and New Zealand for 2 years each. So my mother is Jamaican and my father is Japanese. They met in Jamaica, where my father actually traveled and also lived in Jamaica for over 10 years. That's even longer than I lived. So you can say he's a true Jamaican in that way. He speaks. The funny thing is, he speaks only Patois, not English. He speaks Patois. Like, there is no basic English there. The only thing you can speak is Patois and Japanese. That's funny. I find that
Okay.
funny. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's and I also have two brothers. Yeah.
Okay. And Michael, what about you?
All right. I'm Michael. I'm currently 25 years old. Well, I was born and raised in Japan, and my mother is Japanese. My father is Nigerian, but they got separated when I was like half a year old or something. And
Mhm.
I was with my mom, so I basically grew up in Japanese-speaking household. And my mom got remarried to other Japanese guy, and I I have four, well, one brother and three sisters, and they're all, how do I say, pure Japanese, I would say, 100% Japanese. Um, and so like that. And I grew up in Tokyo area. I went to local elementary, junior high, high school, Japanese university. So as opposed to Jay, my experience in Japan was, well, I would say that I was the only one in the group who is like, a foreign looking, international looking kind of person. So that led to some interesting events in my life as well. But yeah, briefly, that is my experience so far. Well, I'm currently working in a company, but yeah, briefly,
Okay,
that's
I have a very interesting question for you, Michael, because
all
based on what
right.
you just said, right? How did you learn English? Because the English
Oh,
is really good. Yeah.
um, yeah. I often people ask me that question, but I don't know. I just kind of learned it myself. Well, I really like playing video games. I really like listening to music. So, and video games and music is the main source of my English education, I would say. Of course, in Japan, in local schools, they teach you English for like 6, 9 years, but it's not really useful. So yeah, I went out of my way and listening to music, recording myself singing it, and hearing the difference between the my pronunciation and the song's pronunciation, kind of correcting it, doing that, all of that. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and
Wow.
Wow.
yeah, when I was in high school, I went to Australia for 1 year, so that actually helped me a lot. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay, I think you're gonna inspire a lot of people because you grew up in a Japanese household, right? And then
Hmm.
pretty much you learned English through immersion. All right, so we want to talk about like being mixed in Japan, right? So of course I'm a
Right.
black man living in Japan, so my experience differs from you guys' experience, right? So I want to dive in and compare your experiences, right? To really find out what is it like to be mixed in Japan, right? I've released videos before, I've done documentaries on it, but I want to get your perspective and maybe hopefully discuss things that we've never discussed before, like maybe things that you've not heard other people shared before, or and also things that you think is very important for people to actually listen to, hear, and understand, so that the mixed experience in Japan can be improved as much as possible. How would you describe being a mixed Japanese person living in Japan, looking visibly foreign?
So I was basically in like strictly Japanese kind of group. Only one, me being only one looking like a foreigner. And from that experience, what I can say is being a mixed person in Japan can be alienating, I would say, because you will always feel like somewhere deep in your heart, you will always feel that you're not 100% in the community wherever you go.
Mm.
That's, yeah, briefly put, that is my experience so far. It's not all bad, but yeah, alienating might be the word for me.
Okay, Jay.
Okay, yeah, I totally agree with you, Michael. I did feel the same thing in elementary school, especially from where I grew up, like in Jamaica. So I went to this school in a place called Montego Bay. This school had a lot of children from different countries as well. So the thing is, this is my experience. The thing is, I grew up in an environment where I did not feel such thing as border. I came up seeing Chinese. I came up seeing white color skin, black color skin, curly hair, straight hair, just diversity, right? So when I came to Japan, it was the first time I felt there's a border. There's a
Mm.
different culture, different country, different people that would look at you in a different way.
Yeah.
So that was the first impression I had because people just eyeing you, just looking at you. I was living in this place in Hyogoken where I believe my family was the only black in the place, in the community, in that city. And I went to a local school, right? So, first of all, I could not speak Japanese at all.
Okay.
And
And
I had a,
you were like what, 8 years old at the time? How old
yeah,
were you?
eight, around becoming nine, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
And luckily, they had an English speaking, basically a translator that would stay with me only about three months, I remember. So he was basically translating things that I was trying to say to the teacher and to my friends. So I guess that kind of went well in a way of communication. So I was totally comfortable in being in a different environment, as in like different type of people. But I think for them was like the first encounter of a black male. So
Okay.
they were like kind of checking out, they're like, oh, a new guy came, a newbie came, how is he like, blah 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 whatever. Through those years, I do felt like in some parts that I was alienated, and the most where I felt that was when we got into a fight with a friend.
Okay.
Because then he would say stuff like, "Oh, you should go back to your country. You know, you shouldn't. You're not Japanese. You shouldn't be here. You should go back to your country." I'm like, "What is this guy?" What I'm like, I'm half at least. I'm I have Japanese blood, half in
Mhm.
my system, and I could not just believe what was coming out from his mouth. But at the same time, I was like, "Come on, man! Like, don't be angry. Don't say stuff like that. That's not cool at all." Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the experience that. Well, there's a lot, but I feel like I should just stop it here for now.
Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah,
go
yeah.
into some more of it, of course. I want to talk about let's flip it for a second. Let's
Mhm,
talk about some of, I guess, some of the advantages, or some
mhm,
of pretty much the advantages of being mixed in Japan, and then we're gonna get into like some of the things that the sort of alienation that you guys feel in different settings. So like for
mhm,
instance, school, workplace, right? Maybe even relationship. I'm not sure, but just
mhm,
get into the different areas within life in
mhm.
Japan, and then we can talk about that. But what are some advantages being mixed in Japan?
Well, it is a part of this alienation, but you are kind of put on a pedestal everywhere you go, in a good way, really, really in a good way. You're expected to do something special. You're expected to be friendly, so people will like come to you naturally, trying to be friends with you. And also, you are expected to do well in sports. Relationship wise, I don't really know much because I didn't really get popular or anything. At work as well, yeah. Easy to remember face, easy to remember name, Michael and this face, yeah. Those are the main advantages, I would say. People look at you in a different way. When I say this, I don't mean in a bad way. It's not a negative thing. It has a mix of both positive and negative, I think. You know, when you stand out, your actions will stand out as well. Um, you can put it into a good use, or if you do something bad, that's gonna stand out as well. But if you do something good, people will think good about you, good about you or of you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Mhm, mhm.
yeah. So that's the advantage, I think. How about you,
Yeah.
Jay?
Yeah, as you mentioned, like doing sports and stuff. Since a Jamaican, the expectation was high on running. I'm telling you, bro. I am telling you. When it comes to like track and field, everybody looking at me. But luckily, I was relatively fast. I mean, I was the fastest in my grade. Basically, I could have lived up to my expectation. So that was a lucky point. And also, I was
Okay.
good at sports. So that kind of matched with that people's impression towards foreigners or black, if you would say. So
Yeah.
that was good for me. Like, thank God, because I can't imagine what would happen if you're not. Um, being half was not really a cool stuff back in the days through elementary
Hmm.
school. I was the
Okay.
one that kind of felt like I wanted a straight hair in a way, like a straight hair, or I didn't really dislike my beard because I was lucky to have a strong foundation of my background. So skin color wasn't really a problem for me. I liked it, but hair was kind of like I could since my curly hair, I could not really grow my hair long because it would just be messy and stuff, right? So during my
Mhm.
elementary school, I always had it short, like you, Ranzo. So that was one thing I wanted to do because everybody was setting their hair up with some gel and like back in the days they have a soccer player named Beckham, and Beckham
Oh
Okay.
hair
yeah,
was huge in Japan. You would know this, Michael. I'm pretty sure
yeah.
you knew that. So I was like looking at everybody else, like, yo, that hair side, that's cool, man. Like I wanted to do that, but I couldn't do the same. So that's like the elementary school phase. But when once I entered into international school, that's when I like kind of catch up with being in love with my own self. Being
Mm.
original, being different. after like high school, getting closer to the 20s, that's when I could have really like felt the advantage and also the benefits of being half and half black. People start looking at you in a way that, oh, black is cool. Especially when because I used to go to clubs and stuff. Especially when you're at the club, in the black music scene, everybody, you're like you're like, you feel like you're in the middle of the stage in a way.
Okay.
Like the girls would start, hitting on you, and you can approach girls easily that way. Well, but I mean, yeah, that's one example. But yeah, I felt like being my own self, being unique, has came later in my life. Like I felt that was I could have, embrace it in a way.
So
Yeah,
so you're saying that you struggled more with your identity when you were younger, but the older you
younger.
got, the
Mhm.
advantages just emerged.
You start building up confidence, being
Do
yourself.
you so do
Yeah.
you think, well, you grew up in Jamaica until you were 8, right? Do you think the confidence came from your time in New Zealand and Canada, or it was separate and apart from that experience?
I would say it was more of a feeling of reassuring, like
Okay.
because I was isolated in Japan, in a country with different, like surrounded with Japanese. So I was not sure, like how I should feel in a way, because it's hard to have somebody feel the same way, right? So the
Mm.
experience going aboard was kind of like, okay, yeah, that's right. I shouldn't feel that this way. I shouldn't be feeling negative because I'm not Japanese, It was like more of kind of getting closer to my own culture, like trying to get to know it more and also being able to embrace it. Because I was
Mm.
hanging out with my cousins, which is a black person.
Okay, so Michael, what about you? Like, did you go through that a time of like identity crisis? I'm just thinking about like your growing up, right? It's a very unique circumstance because you're the only one that looks visibly different, and your brothers and sisters look Japanese, right? Like phenotypically. So, like, what was that like walking around, going to school, the store? Tell us about that.
How do I put it? How do I put it? Well, I did feel different from everyone. Like, well, I was different visibly, literally, from everyone, and I did go through a how do I say, existential crisis kind of when I was like
Mm.
15, 16. But I was like, well, I am different, but why would that be a problem? Why do I have to be same with everyone else? I'm just Michael. I'm just being me. Am I black? Am I Japanese? Am I a foreigner? It doesn't matter. I'm Michael. So, yeah, around 16, I came to that conclusion. How did I come to that conclusion? I wonder.
You
I,
have a strong
it's
heart
like maybe,
mentality.
maybe,
Do you
but
think you said you went to Australia, right, in high
yeah, yeah,
school? Was
hmm
was that it's around that time? Was it around that time that you came to that
yeah.
conclusion, or before, after, or?
That's after I came to a conclusion. Like that's when I went to Australia when I was 17.
Mm.
Yeah, so that was like a year later. But when I went to Australia, I kind of got surprised because I blended in to a community. Like that was the first time ever for me to happen. Yeah, but being in Australia, I kind of missed being in Japan because in Japan you are special without even doing anything. So
Okay,
yeah,
okay. Did you feel any like negativity when you were younger growing up with your family, like feeling different, other people looking out and thinking you might be the foreigner? Did you go through anything like that?
yeah. When me and my family goes out, people will be looking at us like kind of funny. Or when I was in elementary school, when I was going home from school, some super old lady would look at me and say something like, you know, a bad word like you black whatever.
Really?
Yeah, 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 that happened. And also when I was in elementary school again, when I was in fifth grade, I think, I was going home from my friend's house, a random man started attacking me, actually, like physically, like headlocking me and
What?
stuff. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, that
Wow.
happened. And police came. He got detained and everything. And the most memorable part of that accident or incident was that when I was in the police station and the policeman was, how do I say, questioning the assailtant. Uh, the guy was like, "I hate foreigners," and I could hear them, and he was like, "I hate foreigners. That's why I did it." And the policeman was like, "I hate foreigners too, but you can't do that." And I was like,
Ooh.
Wow.
Yo,
yo,
can't trust the
I was like,
system.
yeah, I know. I was like 10, but at that time,
You were
yeah, I
10,
was like,
bro. He's a
yeah,
grown man. A grown man
he
attacking
was
a
a
10
grown
at
man.
10. Wow.
Yeah, he was
Wow.
like 30 something. He was super drunk. Yeah. And at that age, I was like, yeah, being a foreigner, is it a good thing or a bad thing? I don't really know.
But you're
Oh,
not a
well,
foreigner though.
yeah,
But you're
I
not a
know.
foreigner, right? So you look like a foreigner, but you're not,
Yeah, I
right?
know.
So what did your parents say? Like what did they say when you told your mom your stepdad? What was the response like?
Uh, well, my mom, she's actually a great woman. She has been telling me that being different is great. Like one day you'll thank me that you're different or something like that. She taught me. Well, when that happened, she was like, well, first of all, you know, f him, and hmm, well, there are people who don't see the, how do I say, bigger scope, big picture. Michael, you should be lucky to know that there are different kinds of people on Earth, and in the future you will see them. You're in this situation right now, but trust me, things gonna change. World will go more, how do I say, global, international in few years. That's what she told me.
So do you talk to your dad at all? Your African father?
I don't really talk to him anymore. Yeah, there were many things I would rather
Mhm.
not. Yeah.
Okay, understood.
Mhm.
Okay, so I would like Jay, like these type of experiences. Can you guys just like share these type of experiences, like what he said when he was 10, like some of the negative things that you've experienced in your life, maybe the ones that stood out the most to you, and how you felt, and what you thought about those experiences. So you can, Michael, you can go again if there's another one that stands out, and Jay, because we're trying to let people know the reality, right? Like things that do occur, and maybe solutions or things that you guys think can be implemented to sort of like prevent these things or discourage people from actually carrying out these things.
I tend to forget things that happen badly to myself.
Okay.
I rather not think about it.
I feel like what's happening here is that we have such bad memories too much, or like it happens too often that
Mm,
we don't really know what's bad, or
Yeah,
like
that's.
it.
I know what to say.
Like like
Yeah, go
getting
ahead.
cold, like, yo, you black whatever, is it a bad thing? Like I get that a lot. It's so, for example, in elementary school or junior high, I get called with that name, like kokujin or something like that, a lot on a daily basis almost. And you just kind of get used to it. I don't know if that's a good
Yeah,
thing or bad thing, but you cannot care about it like every time it happens.
that's true.
Otherwise, yeah, you get tired, I think.
yeah.
That's
Okay.
really true because what you just mentioned about at some point you kind of feel like am I being so sensitive around this? Like, like I can't be like putting up signs every time people say something,
Mm,
and you're like guessing, does that include or has a bad meaning to it? I think I used to be that at some point, but I stopped because it's like you said, it's just tiring, and yeah, it doesn't make sense just having your head going around that. all the time. I got into couple fights in elementary school. I guess this guy just constantly picking on me. Like every time he sees me, he's like, "Oh, you black, oh, blah 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 blah." And at first, I was kind of like, like laughing it off. But like people have their own
Breaking
limits,
point.
breaking point. And one day I was like, "Snap! I can't take this anymore." And we just got into fight. Teacher would come in, just break us apart, and I would explain. I think he would explain. But the thing about Japan, I was not set. For example, I was not set in a place where me and that person would have a conversation where we have a chance to understand each other. If things happens, it's like stop it, don't do it, don't do it. Both of you, that's done. And to me, that's not a solution at all. Like you gotta talk, you gotta like correct each other you know
Mistakes.
misconception or mistakes
Mm.
or the idea. That was the usual case for me, like most of the time.
So I guess you guys built up a sort of resistance to it. Maybe like it happened so much that you sort of like grew like thicker skin, so to speak. So when
Oh
someone
yeah.
says something like, so you became stronger because of just,
Hmm.
it's so constant, right? But
Hmm.
you said something important, Jay, that maybe dialogue might help so someone can understand like where, you guys are coming from. And so what are some solutions that you think can be, I guess, implemented within the society in Japan that can help just bridge that gap?
Like I just mentioned, getting to know each other. That's definitely one thing we all can work on. Obviously, people are scared of things that they're unknown. But the truth, most of the case, the truth is to get to know what scares you, to overcome what scares you. Because once you overcome the fear, I'm telling you, it's just plain, like discovery. It's a new world. There's so much positive things to it. So I would say get to know other because the world is changing. Like Michael said, Japan has been global the most ever in its history, and it's going to be more. So might as well know the other person. Okay, if that doesn't feel comfortable, just remember, have if have the enemy closer to you. It could be from that perspective. You don't want to be, like you want to be friend with foreigners. But the thing I want to say is just get to know that person because most of the time it's good things. Yeah.
What about you, Michael?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like education, like educate people and teach them not to judge a book by its cover. Like I get this comment a lot. Your Japanese is very good. I'm Japanese, man. Let people know that there are many people with many backgrounds. Like even though I look like a foreigner, I might be Japanese. Even though you look like Japanese, you might be American, you might be Canadian. I don't know. I think Japanese people still yet to acquire this kind of sense that people might have a lot of diverse background. So yeah, raise awareness of that, I guess. Yeah.
True, that's very true because I've heard stories where, like, this quick story. This black teacher, she's teaching in a school in Osaka, and
Hmm.
the one of the Japanese students, she's a little girl. She asked the teacher where she's from, and she's like America. But the girl is like, "No, you're not from America." My teacher, like, she said her a male teacher, a white teacher, right? She's like, he's from America because he's white. So her understanding was that because he's white, he's from America, but because she's black, she can't be from the same place because she looks different. So what you said
Hmm.
about them not understanding that you can look different but be from a certain
Your
place
country.
is it's actually quite crazy because people
Mhm.
see me as well and they might think I'm from America or Africa, or like they don't know because they're just assuming, okay, maybe you're from Africa or
Mhm.
Hmm.
America or something, right? But have you guys had conversations with your friends, like your Japanese friends? Like, have you spoken to them about what you feel, what you faced, and also understood their perspective when they see you, what they think about, and stuff like that? Have you guys ever had any of those conversations ever?
Frankly, responding to that question, mostly no, because I just think that they won't really understand. They might hear you are out, definitely, they would
Mhm.
say like, "Oh, okay, that happened. Oh, that's a bad experience. Oh, I'm sorry for you, or not sorry for you, but yeah, I feel you. Like that is not appropriate at all." Yes,
Mhm.
but the thing is, what I think is when we're having this conversation, I want to dive in more to it. Like I want to see the essential of it. Like I want to have a deep conversation on why is this that and why did it happen. Like and to have that conversation, I find it more often in people that have looked or experienced different culture and have friends not only from one country but like many countries as well. And with the friends that I have, you can only go to a certain extent with the conversation, and I think that kind of like stop make me stop talking about it that much and sharing the
Okay.
experience
But
because
but it
yeah.
is it sounds like those are the people that needs to be reached, right? Because for instance, as you said, someone with worldly experience, someone who
Mm-hmm,
has gone overseas. Because like of all the people I've spoken to, it seems like going
mm-hmm,
overseas helps a lot, right? Even for
mm-hmm,
a Japanese person who
mm-hmm,
grew up when they're 25 and they went
mm-hmm,
overseas for the first time,
mm-hmm,
usually when they come back, they
mm-hmm.
do have a different
Yeah,
perspective, at least a little bit.
definitely. Yeah,
So
yeah.
so the goal seems to be to reach
Mm-hmm,
those people who might never go overseas, right?
mm-hmm,
Those people who might not have the opportunity to go overseas. Like how can you then convey the reality of being mixed to those people, right?
mm-hmm,
So if you
mm-hmm,
so I think that might be the challenge, right? Like as you're
mm-hmm,
saying, you're talking to them and it's like it's not really making sense, they can't really
mm-hmm,
see it, they can't understand, so
mm-hmm,
you feel discouraged because it's like, okay,
mm-hmm,
I'm wasting my time. But what
mm-hmm,
is in what way
mm-hmm.
can we communicate the experience in such a way that they can identify with it and understand, so that they can see, the maybe some of the things that they do that's wrong and can correct that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Michael, what about you? Like, what has have you had that conversation with friends about your experience being mixed in Japan?
Well, yeah, in short answer, yes. Yes, yes, yes. So I started talking about my feelings about being a mixed person in Japan when I was around, well, 15, 16, when I was struggling with the identity.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, my friends were also in high school, and, high schoolers are really the brightest thing in the world. So, I would say something like, I kind of feel alienated. I feel like no one is like understanding me correctly, and they would be like, "No, it's okay. You're all right," or something like that. That's very assuring, of course, and I'm very lucky to have such friends. But at that time, that wasn't really the answer that I was looking for. But as the time goes on, I became 19, 20, 21, 22. Friends change. And, I still sometimes talk about the feelings that I get by being a mixed person. And they're, they're very, very understanding, like, and also my friends, many of them have gone to like overseas as an exchange student or, you know, been there a long time. So they do understand the struggle of not being under, understood or being in a group or, yeah. And recently, one of my closest friends who has never been to overseas but pretty interested in cultures, foreign cultures, said to me like so it was just a regular conversation, like blah blah blah, and I consider myself. I said I consider myself black, but I'm Japanese, and then he was like, "Are you black? You're just Michael, man." I never thought about it.
Oh wow.
So I feel like that's where you want to be. Like you don't really I was like, yeah, that this guy's great because you don't really have to think about if you're black or white or Asian, whatever. Uh, you he accepted me for the way I am, for who I am, being Michael. So that's the goal. Like, yeah, ideal world is where you don't have to think about race or nationality. Just people accept you for who you are, I think.
So, question, Michael, you said when you were in high school, right? The person said, you're all right, or whatever. You said that wasn't the answer you were looking for. Like, what were you
Yeah.
expecting? Like, what were you looking for? What would you have liked to have happened in that moment?
I think I was looking for an answer, something like, you don't have to think. You don't have to think, just be who you are.
Hmm.
Like, well, the answer at that time was, yeah, you're black, but we don't really see you as different or something like that. But I don't know. At that time, it still felt like I'm still black, but uh, being in this Japanese community, like they're including me, the black
Mm.
person, rather than not black or not Japanese, just Michael being in friends group, kind of,
Hmm.
I feel
Okay.
it's
yeah.
difficult, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the language is the key. Like
Mm.
I don't know if I could speak only for Japan for this matter, but if you know the language in the same way they do, the people who live here, who are born in a country, if you know the language the same way, you would know the culture as well. And I think that no matter if you look different, you're accepted because of how you're talking or how you're interacting with them.
Mm.
So it's kind of yeah. I felt like that's the key. Uh, that's one of the
So,
key.
so you feel that the language made you less alienated?
Definitely, because it's interesting when you ask or a friend or you could say a person at my workplace, the first impression when they see me, and when I after like when I start talking, is completely different. Like the acceptance is just a way level. They would think they would have this expectation, but it's not as they thought usually, and they would be like, oh, okay, you're Japanese. That's the reaction that I mostly get. And when I do speak English, because I don't usually speak English in front of the friends who does not speak English. So once they see that part, they're like, "Oh, I forgot you're half. Oh, I forgot you
Ah.
also speak English as well." So that would add them another aspect of looking at me to it. First, they would see me at Japanese, complete Japanese. But once I speak the language, like I said, the key is the language. Then they would be like, "Oh, okay, I see that you have another culture within you."
Okay, so that helps because like most of the half black people, half Japanese people I've met, or mixed people I've met, they do speak Japanese, right? So, but they still have the experiences, right? Like I think
Mm-hmm.
almost everyone I've interviewed speak Japanese as well, or they don't even speak English at all, and they still
Mm-hmm.
have this struggle, right? And it's funny that
Mm-hmm.
you spoke about the hair thing, Jay, because like it seems that hair is a big problem actually. I don't know
Yeah.
why. It seems like the hair, like your skin, and maybe it's like, well, I can't change my skin at all,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
might be able to change my hair. So I think the hope, like the possibility of your hair
Yeah.
being changed is possible. So
Yeah.
like Michael Jackson. So maybe because of that, so, so maybe that reality that it can be done might be one of the reasons why hair is such a big problem because something can be done about it. What about the work environment, right? So, Jay, you work at a company, and Michael, you work at a company as well. What has your experience been like being in that environment and looking visibly foreign?
Well, if I go first, short answer is it's very natural. It's just that the company that I'm working at is very, very foreign friendly, international, diverse. So there are a lot of foreigners working at a company as well. So, and even Japanese people who work there have some like abroad experience, like being an exchange student or something like that. So there are a lot of people who speak English, first of all, and the acceptance for foreign-looking people or foreign culture is very, very high.
Mm.
So yeah, for me, I've no complaint. I have no problem whatsoever. My company might be one of the rare cases, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Most of the I don't have no complaint or any problem at my workplace. It's a very nice environment. Like Michael said, most of the staff they do have a foreign experience as well. They do speak English. They and some of them are like local Japanese as well. But like overall, it's no problem at all. It's a very good place. And if I would say something though, this is maybe a general thing, but I wish the understanding of things of, for example, like things when you're getting stuff done. I think that it could be better if people here can have multiple solution to it, because I feel that there is so much procedure and orders in stuff here. And
Mhm.
luckily I have a colleague, so we would like talk about stuff like this, right? And he also feels the same, almost the same way. Like there's just so much orders to it, and we just wish like if there were more like free space to the procedure. That's all. But everything else is just a good place to work. In Japan, I feel like participating in thick stuff like, especially with talking, discussion and stuff. Like it's kind of different from what it is in. For example, I've been to Canada, but it's kind of hard here. Like I guess
Mm.
it's of the cultural
Hmm.
aspect as well. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
sharing your experience is really difficult,
Yeah, I
and I
think I
wish
Mm.
think
there would be more. Yeah.
yeah, I think in Japan having a unique opinion is kind of
Hmm.
hard
Hmm.
because being as same as everyone else
Hmm.
is valued in Japan. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, unified motion. So like having a unique
Hmm.
opinion is kind of I wouldn't want to say looked down upon, but it's
Hmm.
not a very good thing, maybe. So
Hmm.
that's Japanese culture
Hmm.
that has to be changed.
And I think maybe that even that
Hmm.
that cultural aspect, do you guys think that influences the way they look at foreigners or mixed people? Because like in this sort of like unified society, like you look visibly different. So you're pretty much by being who you are, you're a nail that sticks out because you're different. So you can't hide, right? So do you think
Hmm.
that is maybe one thing why they tend to look at foreigners a certain way? And also that maybe they see that, well, you know what, Japan is just a country where everyone is the same, so we don't need to change anything about it. You guys are saying this and that about, like, well, you feel
Hmm.
a certain way, but it's Japan, and hey, we're not going to change for you. Do you think they have that sort of like nonchalant attitude? Like, well, listen, you come to the country, or you look different, you just got to fall into line pretty much, and they don't see a problem. That's why they don't care to learn more to make a difference. Do you guys feel any of these things to be true?
I do feel that is one thing in a certain way. I think because things works here, and they are also like the first world country,
Hmm.
and most of the things works okay. If you look at the world, there are obviously positive parts, negative parts, and all that. But I feel like
Hmm.
Japan is like most of the things are like an average, but a little bit higher up there, and it works.
Hmm.
So therefore, what's the change? What should we change? Like
Yeah,
I know
great,
you
great
guys,
insight.
Mm.
I know you guys might doing better here, but look at that part. That sucks. In different country.
Well, Michael, you were saying something. I want to comment, but Michael, you were saying something.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of attitude. Uh, Certainly, Japan has it. And yes, by being different, we do stand out. Like foreign-looking people do stand out, and Japanese people usually expect foreigners to behave the way the Japanese do when they come to Japan. That attitude is certainly factors in. Yeah.
What do you guys think can be done like differently that you think can make this a little bit better for mixed people?
Yeah, all right. It's just that the yes, in Japan, things have been working, maybe better than average, but it's slowing down. Japan's slowing down its economy or birth rate or whatever. It's kind of slowing down. So it's the time for us to change, for Japan to change nationwide. But the thing is, we haven't really been like changing much. So the speed of the change is so slow. So Japanese people are not known for its English competency. So we are in Japan. They're trying to educate kids like English a lot now, but it's still going slow. So yeah, there is a hope, but only if Japan as a nation picks up its speed on how to change things, I think.
Mhm. I was going to say that. Yeah, I totally agree. Because when you look at the history, I only lived about 30 years, so I can only tell that part, and especially the experience that I live here in Japan. Um, you can see like if you go back like 5, 10 years, they're developing the standard. Okay, I don't want to speak from a high position in any way in any means, but it's like okay, the experience that I had in Jamaica, as in like in person to person experience. This is not
Mhm.
like like I'm not
On a
talking about
national
like
scale.
society or a national scale or let's
Mhm.
set that apart. Talking about like in person to person experience, like knowing other people and all that. Um, they are getting there, but like you said, it's the speed. And the thing about Japan is once they have it, once they understood it, they are the fastest to perfection. That's about Japan.
Mm,
Once they
okay.
have it, that they can just go around and just basically run out everybody else. You can look at Olympics as well. Look how they have become really strong over these years. The thing about
Mm,
Japan, if they understand, if they get to know it, they're really fast because they will put in effort. They'll put in time. Yeah, they're putting time to what they do. So yeah, once they pick up the speed and also see what's valuable of being an international, what kind of benefit it would bring to Japan. Once they
mm,
realize that, then I think it
mhm.
will be a better place, like in my opinion, a super
So
better place.
I think someone needs to make a presentation then, something that shows the pros and cons of it and the benefits, right? Like, and I think people might also be concerned about the culture changing because when
Mm-hmm.
you think about Japan, there's a sort of uniqueness, and I think in
Mm-hmm.
their minds they might think by being a little bit more open to the foreign perspective, it's almost like it might erode their sort of culture. So I think that's
Mm-hmm.
like a fear that they might have.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think if there's a way that someone can show a
Mm-hmm.
sort of
That it can be
development
done.
or yeah, right, in a way that won't hurt the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe as you said, like once they understand the concept, they're
Mm-hmm.
quick to like perfect it. But
Mm-hmm.
is there anything else that you guys think about being mixed that people that aren't won't understand? Like Japanese people or foreigners. One thing that you said to me,
Mm-hmm.
Jay, at one point was that some mixed people might not necessarily identify as black, like they might see black people
Mm-hmm.
as
Mm-hmm.
other as well. And but
Mm-hmm.
on the black side, we see mixed people as like more
Mm-hmm.
like us, right?
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was like revelatory to me because I thought like most mixed people
Mm,
actually just saw themselves as close to black because you look closer to us,
exactly.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
from what you said, it's like some people don't see it like that at all. So that was something that I never knew being a black person. So
Okay.
Michael, is there anything like that that you think, like maybe even a Japanese person that is phenotypical Japanese? When I say that, I mean look Japanese, right? So do you
Mm-hmm.
think there's anything that Japanese people that look Japanese and black people that look like me that we won't understand about being mixed that you want to share?
Okay, maybe the feeling of you're never 100% committed to the group. Maybe,
Mm,
for example, I look black, but not completely black. Maybe. So, for example, I went to Nigeria in 2016. That was like 5 years ago. When I
mhm.
went there, people were still looking at me kind of curiously, and kids on the street was actually calling me white man, white man. So yeah, so
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
In Japan, I wouldn't be Japanese, like 100% Japanese. Even in Nigeria, I wouldn't be 100% Nigerian.
Mm,
So
Mm-hmm.
the feeling of never really in the particular group, maybe. That
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting that you mentioned that because, okay, this is one message I want to share. And if you do agree, Michael, please show that um, support. But okay, like you said, in Japan, you feel like you cannot be 100% Japanese to a Japanese people. And in Nigeria, it's the same. And for me, it's the same. Even if I go to Jamaica, I look different. Right, Ranzo?
It's fine. Don't even look at it that deep.
Okay, okay. The thing is, like, growing up through this kind of being that identity, a person from a country, growing up, and a person that's half, like the experience. Trust me, it's the experience is so different that the idea that comes with it, the concept that come with it, is like a set of a new different thing. So you can look at it as a different type of race. If I would
Okay.
say, if I would
I
say,
get it.
it's
I
a
get it.
different
I
type
get it.
of race. I wish that a lot of people could not be okay. Maybe I'm asking too much. Could understand? I was gonna say I could understand this concept, but at least know that it exists. Because inside a person is a lot of mystery. So therefore, you can't assume of what should what it is, because it's
Mhm.
different. It's
Yeah.
different.
No, it's big what you just said. Well, Michael, do you want to piggyback off what he said? You want to, or
Yeah, yeah. I totally understand the being a completely different race, kind of like we're on its special kind of group. Like
Hmm.
we're not black or Japanese or whatever. We're just Hafu people or something,
Hmm.
some kind of new race. I would say,
Yeah,
yeah.
because when you think about it, a black person can go back to a black community and be understood, right?
Mm.
The half
mm,
people is kind of in between. They're part of this side that would understand you, and they're part of this side would understand you. But it's not like the full package, if I would say. So therefore,
mm,
that's why I said it's like a kind of like a new race in a way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When a half people talk to each other, there's a lot of understanding there. Yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted to say.
yeah, I think the problem is this, right? Humans use our eyes too much, right? Like, for instance, people tend to judge what they see. If you think about it for a second, it's like when you're walking down the street,
Mhm.
someone will judge up, like, for instance, a Japanese person because they might watch a movie or listen to something bad about black people. They see me walking, they run
Mhm.
across the street, they don't know me. You
Mhm. Mhm.
understand? But
Yeah, yeah.
because of what's in their mind from what they've seen, that's what
Mhm.
they don't see Ranzo at all. They just see a
Mhm.
black man that's like a dude on the TV that's about to do me something bad,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
they just run. So they're literally judging me on the basis.
Mhm.
The only data they have is the way I look. Nothing
Mhm.
else. They don't know the sound of my voice. They don't know my background. They don't know that I can probably help them. They don't know anything about me but the way I
Mhm.
look. So I think that so humans tend to judge people by the way we look, the way we
Mhm.
sound, right? So because of that, and then we communicate 70% of what we communicate is through body language and not words. So
Mhm.
I think because of the way we're made as humans, it's a
Mhm.
really, really hard thing because it's like when a person look at you, it's like, okay, how do I approach this person?
Mhm.
Right? So I'm talking about anyone, like it's a human thing overall. And I'm sure you
Mhm.
guys face the same thing. If it's a girl, you might look at her and you might like a certain type, the way that girl look, and she might be
Mhm.
your type. So you were literally responding by what you see.
Mhm.
So I think there's a general understanding of judging people. We
Mhm.
shouldn't. Everyone say we shouldn't, but everyone does it in some way,
That's
shape,
it.
or form.
Yeah.
Are you gonna talk to that girl? No, you're not, because she don't look the way you want her to look, right? But you're gonna talk to that one because she looked the way you wanted
That's true.
her to look, right?
Right.
So we all have that thing as humans overall. A guy might be coming down the street looking like super dangerous, and you're like, okay, snap, I gotta get ready because something might happen, right? An old lady's coming, you might be like, oh, it's an old lady. You don't feel any way, oh, it's an old lady, right? So there's so much that goes with the way you look. But the problem with that is that's not the person. You understand? Like the way you look is not the person, but
Mm.
we place so much emphasis, especially first impressions, on how a person look. it's almost like reprogramming the human mind, right? It's only like a human who has sort of like transcended to another level that can see people and just bypass that 100% and say, let me talk to Michael and find out who Michael is, or let me talk to Jay first before judging at all and say, who is Jay? And allow you to show me who you are, right? Before you assume that, oh, Jay's a foreigner, or this person a foreigner, or that person a Japanese, or that guy's bad, or that guy's good, right? So there's just so much in that sense. So the average human won't understand. I don't think the average human won't understand that you can't judge people by the way they look. Like you won't like some high schoolers. Like high schoolers are the worst time of anyone's life almost. You know, they're merciless, right? So I really think so. That part is like education does help, right? If a person understands, right? Because look, hey, you might meet a person that looks a certain way, and he might be the greatest friend you've ever met. Give you an opportunity, and you're like, snap! I'm so glad I never judged this guy because look at what's going on now, right? But so that's one. So I think that's a challenge that might exist for a little bit longer in terms of judging people by the way they look. I think if we can hasten the conversation aspect, right? If we can get to the conversation faster, right? So we don't allow any time for people to like form any opinion. I'm like, hey, what's up? My name is this. What? Da, da, da. Oh, okay. They already know who you are. So this guy said in an interview I did, he's like, you hit them before they hit you. Not physically, not physically, but you already start. You know, you're already there
Start
with
the
who you are.
conversation. Okay.
Yeah, you're already there. So it's like snap. Whatever they have in their mind, it's being challenged by the reality of who you are as a person, right? So it's like you're already there. You're doing the work, right? So I think that's one challenge. So I think that might be one of the reasons why, like for instance, mixed people that look phenotypically black, it might be a challenge because people already. Because I've done it. Made a mistake before. I was in Shibuya. A guy was rapping. It looks black, like it looks like fully black, right? He's rapping in Japanese. Like guy's really, really good, right? So I saw him another day in the subway coming down the stairs. I'm like, yeah, what's up? The guy's like, the guy couldn't speak English, eh? But I was wrong because I thought he was rapping in Japanese, eh? He was rapping in Japanese. So I should have maybe said like, something in Japanese, hello in Japanese or something. But because he's black, my mind went to, oh, like this guy must be American because he's rapping and so I'm like, hey, but the guy never spoke any English. He's like, oh, come again, like he never understood anything I was saying. And I was just saying hello, right? So it's a thing that all of us do, even innocently. Right? You don't mean any harm. There's no malicious intent, but because someone looks a certain way based on your experience, someone that looks this way might be able to speak this way because that's how we learn, right? That's how the brain learns languages, like pattern recognition. You gotta hit them first. Like, this is who I am. I don't care what you think, but this is who I am, and then they're like, okay, cool, right? So that's the thing. But I also think what you're saying about, from what you've explained, Jay, that the feeling like a different race is definitely something that I think might be more accurate to describe the experience. And a Japanese person might not necessarily be able to fully understand it, right? But we can come pretty close if a person can really articulate their position, and we can say, okay, I think I get it.
And there's a lot of strength to it. Being a half, you can be the bridge of two.
You can go in between,
it. Yeah, exactly.
Do you feel like you get more acceptance from black people?
I would say in a way because they have experienced a lot of different diversity. I came back to this word again. They have gone through a lot of diversity. That's probably why they do. I feel like they do accept me, because I can only speak of myself. They do accept me as a person. More.
What about you?
Yeah, more friendly.
What about you, Michael? What do you think? Same thing or it's different?
I feel the same thing. Yes, I feel the same thing initially. But for me, I was brought up in a Japanese community, and I have like super deep Japanese background. So at first, I would be welcomed, but the ideas and culture is, after all, a little bit different.
That's true.
So yeah. I feel like after all, I would not belong there long term.
Okay.
But yeah, acceptance wise, yeah, black people are definitely maybe more experienced. That's why maybe acceptance is more very high, I would say. Yeah.
We're more empathetic, right? Because we are used to like, like being the other. Where can people find you guys online?
My Instagram is FBC forever.
Mine is the Blackenese 19.
I feel like even toward the end, we're getting into some really good stuff, like some really sort of like philosophical type of like discussion, about the experience and stuff, which is actually really, really good. Because my goal, I think, because when I see half people or mixed people, I feel like y'all are just like me. That's the feeling. So I'm just telling you, even though y'all might not feel that way, that's how we feel. Most of us feel like a part of the family, right? So that's kind of like what it is. We feel like we don't feel like, oh snap, like those people are not like us, like at least maybe because I'm a Jamaican. I don't know. We accept everybody. Like, I don't know if that's here or
Exactly,
not.
exactly. That's what I was going to say. Like I have cousins that's mixed India. Like okay,
Yeah.
let me share this before we go. For my case though, it's kind of unique because, like I said, I grew up in Jamaica for 9 years, right? So like you just said, like we might not feel like the way that you feel like we're black. I think for my case though, I could I don't feel that much. I don't feel that that much in a way that I don't feel black because I do feel
Okay.
black
Okay.
because yeah, I have a strong black family back in Jamaica and I was around them for so many years. That's why.
Mhm.
So I guess it's also the background also plays the effect in
Ah.
it as well
Mm.
because I do have that foundation. I grew up with a black family. I only could speak English. Just all of this experience. So Japanese was like introduced later on for my case.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So your background. So you think that helps? So if your family is black, or if it's a mixed family, or if
Mhm.
it's all Japanese, you think it's different?
Mhm.
Michael, would you
It's
say the same for
yeah.
yours?
Yeah, I think definitely backgrounds plays a huge role in terms of, well, your thoughts and your culture. And
Hmm.
yeah, I do consider myself black on the outside, but I, after all, am Japanese. Like I have that strong sense. That's because I was brought up in Japanese family. So that affects a
If I
lot
could add
actually.
one more thing, like for
Hmm.
example, for Michael case, if he had still had the connection with his father's side family, it would turn out differently. The
Mm,
case is, I think the case is here in Japan is that being half, okay, I can only speak of a black and Japanese half, but for most cases, I feel like because the father, it tends to be that the father is black, right? And
mm-hmm,
it's like
Hmm.
I don't want to really. Well, it's the reality. There are a lot of cases that where the father is gone. Therefore,
Okay.
your cultural connection
It's
towards
cut.
blackness is cut
mm-hmm,
off. And in
mm-hmm.
my case,
Mm.
that was not the case. That's why I'm saying like I don't feel that way, like as in like not being black or anything like that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Interesting, because
yeah.
your mom is black,
Mhm.
right? Your mom is Jamaican and your
I,
father is Japanese.
Japanese, and we're still all together. And I also talk to my
Yeah.
because okay, let me share a little thing of my family because all right, this is quite interesting and it could be more. Okay, I used to think that it's normal, but it's kind of mind blowing because
Hmm.
my younger brother is half Japanese Jamaican as me because we both from the same father. But my oldest brother is full Jamaican. We share the same mother but different father, right?
Hmm.
So I used to live with him when I was in Jamaica for 9 years. So I was the youngest that time, and I had a brother that speaks English only.
Hmm.
Now, my younger brother, born, and he's half Jamaican, half Japanese. He came to Japan when he was like 3, so he can only speak Japanese. So the
Okay.
Mm.
thing here is, I am the only one can talk to both of them.
Okay. Wow.
So
Interesting, interesting.
whenever my older brother, has to talk to my younger brother, it always comes through me. It's like, how is he
Okay.
doing? And I'm like, yeah, yo, your brother. Maybe he doesn't really remember because last time he met him was like around 3. The funny
Hmm.
thing, like around when my younger brother hit junior high school becoming high school, I told him, "Do you remember you have a brother?" Because we don't really talk about him, because my mother is, away. Like my parents got divorced, so
Mhm.
that never really come up in the conversation. So I just asked him one day, "Do you remember you have a brother?" He's like, "Really? No,
Oh,
like,
wow.
hey, no, you do have a brother, and he's this and this and this and that." I kind of explained it to him. He's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, okay, I did not know that." Well, you know now. And so he was asking if you're doing okay. So I told him you're doing okay, blah blah blah. So yeah, it's really interesting, man.
There's just so much. I think no, we're just getting into it now. I think, but
Yeah.
so maybe we need a part two, right? All right. So Michael and Jay, thanks for coming on, right,
Mhm,
guys? I know this one was kind of long, but
mhm,
listen, man, we're not about brevity. We're about sharing the full story, authentic conversations. If you want the conversation, you know where to come. Thank you so much for watching. Jay, again, thanks for coming on. Michael, thanks for coming on. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and remember to subscribe for more videos like this. Until next time, thanks for
mhm.
watching. Bye for now.